Good afternoon, everyone. Honoured guests, members, friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's my very pleasant duty this afternoon on behalf of the Lenzie Club to welcome you all here today on this very special occasion, which is the naming and unveiling of a portrait in memory of the late Ian Rutherford. I'm absolutely delighted that Dor has come along to do the opening ceremony, and with her she's brought her son Tim, his wife Viv, son Grant and girlfriend Cheryl. I don't know how Diana feels. We also have her other son Don and his wife Maggie. We decided, in fact, it would be a very nice thing to invite Ian's bridge partners. So we have this afternoon with us Roger Cannon, Wallace Somerville, Peter Beaton and Philip Bladen and their wives. We also have long-term friends of Ian and Dor's in the shape of Ernest and Anne Tompkins. Ernest is a member of the club, former past president, of course he's chairman of Lenzie Estates, and I also am due gratitude to Anne for stepping in place of my wife to do some final touches yesterday and today. Thank you very much, Anne.
You can pay me later.
We also have Ken Cassidy, past President Ken Cassidy, whose wife Marion here. The club are indebted to Ken Cassidy for all his help and assistance in bringing this project to fruition. And I'm delighted also to say that we have the commissioned artist of Ian's portrait, Joe Hall. He's here somewhere. You're very welcome, Joe, and I'm delighted to see you this afternoon. Finally, we have the committee and their wives, and we're also glad to see them as well. When we first noticed, earlier last summer, that Ian joined the club in February 1953, and therefore would be a member of this club for 60 years in February 2013, we realised that we'd have to do something special. Ian was given us a quake on his 50 years membership in 2003, but we realised we had to do something a bit better than that. Now, Ian Rutherford was no ordinary member of this club. He was a president, he was an honorary life member, he was indeed a trustee for 40 years, which is quite outstanding. Now, Ian also attended many functions in this club. He was on every AGM until his hearing failed. And indeed, I recall he actually had his 90th birthday here in 2006. So therefore, it was an easy decision for the committee to decide, what did he do best? He played bridge, and he played bridge in a card room. Why don't we make the Rutherford room, rename it in perpetuity, Symbols? With one problem to all that, of course, Ian, would he agree? So I decided that, well, at least the committee decided that since I knew him best, I should go along and put this proposition to him. So I went along one morning about 9:30, I met him on his porch, and I recall the very first thing I did was to decline a very large gin and tonic, in the hope that I would be able to at least drive home, never mind walk home. So I put the proposition to Ian, and he was very quiet. And then he said to me that he was absolutely gobsmacked and would be honoured to accept what we had proposed. So I thought, wonderful. But he said, I've got two conditions. I said, oh dear, wonder what they are. The first condition was that when I said to him we were going to commission a portrait, he said, I'm not going to sit for a portrait at my age. I couldn't sit long enough. So we agreed that the portrait would be based on his presidential photograph, which actually hangs in the hall. His second condition was somewhat different, and those of you who are not members of the club will not appreciate what this is. We had in the card room for many years 3 photographs of 3 military persons. One was Ian Rutherford, one was David Duncan, and the other was Jack Armstrong, who were all members of this club. And they used to hang in the card room. And when we did a refurbishment a couple of years ago, we took them down and put them into storage, much to Ian's annoyance. In fact, he continued to berate me every Wednesday evening, I recall, as I was secretary at the time. So he said, if you're not going to put them up, would you give me them back? So I said, well, I think we could find them and I'll see if we can put them back up. Hoping, in fact, against hope, that Alan Ewing, our house convener, would remember where we'd stored them. And I'm pleased to say that he did know where we'd stored them. And in actual fact, just shortly you will see them back up in the card room in a slightly different format, which I think is much more acceptable. So there we are. That's why we're here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it therefore gives me much pleasure on behalf of the Lenzie Club to ask Mrs. Rutherford if she would, in fact, do the honour and cut the ribbon to the new Rutherford room.
Yes.
Just take the time. I realise